Hello there, Lunar Squadron. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another Marvel Spider-Man 2 video. We've had a lot of rumbling and grumbling about this game throughout the week, but today we have some official confirmation from a few devs over at Insomniac Games about some really cool open-world gameplay and combat features that we can't wait to share with all of you. We are going to get into all of that in just a moment, but first, if you're new to the channel, we would love to have you. The way to do that is go down below this video, click that subscribe button, and make sure to hit the bell notification button right on next to it. It's going to let you know every single time that we upload, so you can stay up to date with the latest and greatest Marvel Spider-Man 2 news on YouTube. That said, Nick, you ready to get straight into this one?
I'm always down to talk Spider-Man.
All right, let's do this, guys.
Alright, Andreas, so like you said in the intro, we've been getting so many great new details about Marvel Spider-Man 2 this week. We got some new gameplay last week, and that has sparked a lot of conversations about gameplay features that will or will not be in Marvel Spider-Man 2. And one of the features that's going around is that there will be fall damage, some sort of fall damage mechanic in this game, and it looks like we actually got confirmation about that today.
That's right, Nick. We did. IGN actually reached out to the senior programming director, Doug Sheehan, and they wrote an entire article about this, and we have a pretty extensive quote from Doug Sheehan about not just the fall damage component, but also some new web swinging mechanics in this game. So we are very excited to dig into that bit as well. This article that we're going to be using is out of IGN.com. It is called, "Yes, Spider-Man 2 has fall damage, but you can toggle it on/off. It adds realism, you know?" This is, of course, by Taylor Lyles. And the bit here that I love is the direct quote from Doug Sheehan, where it says, quote, "Something we're seeing more and more of is that players like to be able to customize their experience. For those players, we added the ability to enable fall damage defaults to off, and even let people tweak how swinging feels with our swing steering assist setting. We hope players who enjoy a deep dive into the details have fun experimenting." Now, Nick, obviously this is a two-parter here. The first part being about the fall damage, how it is auto-toggled to off, and how it will be a toggle to begin with. And second off, that we will have something called swing steering assist. Which one do you want to touch on first?
We'll start with the fall damage. We'll take this in turn. This is an exciting but also somewhat controversial gameplay feature coming into Marvel Spider-Man 2 because, you know, there's a lot of people out there who really love it because it adds that realism like the article says. There's a lot of people who don't love it because there's the added stress of if you slip up or something, you're really high while you're swinging and you're moving pretty fast, so you could totally ruin a gameplay segment if you happen to mess up and you fall to your death. But Andres, this is a mechanic that we have seen in Spider-Man games of the past, and it really has never been that big of a deal. I think back to the original Spider-Man 2 game from the Raimi Trilogy, that game featured fall damage, and it was never really that big of a deal. It was nothing I was really ever scared of or fearful of, and honestly, it was something I actually had fun with because I would go to the top of the Empire State Building, which I believe was the highest point in that game, and I would jump off of it just for, you know, the hell of it, just, you know, go to the ground and see what the fall damage was like in that game. I just remember doing that, and I do think it's interesting that this was not a mechanic that was featured in the first two Marvel Spider-Man games, that being Marvel Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales. And I think it's interesting now that they are choosing to include this in Marvel Spider-Man 2, and I'm just interested to see, given what we have and how the mechanics of the web swinging and all of that works in this franchise, how they are going to fully implement this feature into their gameplay.
You know, Nick, I really personally don't see how this has grown into a controversy because at the end of the day, this is a toggle. Like, if you don't like the feature, you can toggle it off. If you want the feature, it is a brand new feature for you to take advantage of. You can toggle it on. So I'm not really quite seeing why it's become controversial at all, because I think the toggle really does nip that in the bud. Also, there were a lot of people who were worried that maybe they would lock some sort of achievements or trophies behind toggling on the fall damage in this game, but thankfully, James Stevenson, the community director for this game, clarified this in Twitter. Somebody asked him, "Hope toggling off won't keep me from getting the platinum," and James Stevenson said, "It won't." So that has also similarly been completely nipped in the bud. I just don't see any room for controversy on this. And personally, I don't know. I might try it both ways and see what I prefer. At the end of the day, you have both options, so why not try it out?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I just see this as Insomniac looking to add options, like you said, for people. Give people more customization to their gameplay experience in Marvel Spider-Man 2. That seems to be a big thing they're focusing in on in this game, is just offering a lot of customization, whether that be suits, upgrade, moves, skill tree. Now we're seeing it with actually being able to change the settings of the gameplay. And speaking of changing the settings of this gameplay, in this quote, we got a very interesting confirmation of another feature in this game, and that is going to be swing steering assist, the setting for that, and how you'll be able to tweak how swinging feels with that. And Andreas, when we sat down and were thinking about what exactly does swing steering assist mean, we came up with a couple different ideas. One of these ideas is, if you think about it, when you're web swinging in this game or in this franchise, one of the big things you want to really do is try to keep a center line. You want to be going down the middle of the street. But if you think about the laws of physics, when you're shooting your webs out, you are grabbing things to your left and to your right. And so perhaps when you turn the swing steering assist off, it will not help you keep that center line to keep your momentum going forward and down the middle. Perhaps it will actually start pulling you to the left or to the right, and you'll get more of this zigzag motion, where then more of that skill will have to become involved in the game, where you'll be able to have to, steer yourself more manually and have more skill in that. And there is a lot of skill involved in the web swinging mechanics of this game. Like, you can get really good at this game, and it takes a lot of practice. I mean, we've all seen those YouTube videos of people who get absolutely insane, and it looks like a cinematic sequence out of one of these movies. So perhaps a feature like this will allow people like that to even go a little further and just increase that skill required just a little bit more to offer some pretty incredible looking gameplay experiences in this game. I'm incredibly excited to see what this means. Another idea I had for this setting, Andreas, was perhaps it will just help you when you're trying to get around buildings. Like if you have to steer through buildings, it will kind of maybe generate this like kind of invisible force field or wall where it'll help you steer away from buildings so you aren't just like constantly crashing into the side of the building. Because I can imagine someone who's picking up this game and hasn't really had experience with the web swinging in these games, it could be a little frustrating. There is a learning curve to this, and it could be frustrating to just constantly be losing your momentum and ramming into buildings and things, and perhaps this is a setting that will prevent that. So I'm very excited to see what other accessibility, customization, gameplay features that we can tweak to just kind of customize the experience and gameplay to how we want it to be.
That's right, Nick. And for those of you who are wondering whether or not you will have to have that enabled, again, this is within the context of a statement made by Doug Sheehan where he's saying that they are promoting players to be able to customize their experience playing this game. And he's saying that you will be able to tweak how swinging feels. That's the quote. Let people tweak how swinging feels. So that alludes to me that you will be able to tweak this setting. Maybe you'll be able to adjust the swing steering assist from a level of like 1 to 10, like a sensitivity type thing. One thing's for sure, all of these question marks will be answered soon, because James Stevenson again took to Twitter with this tweet here saying, I liked Doug also sliding in that hashtag Spider-Man 2 PS5 swing steering assist setting mentioned too, with the eyes emoji. And then later on down in his replies, he said that they will be detailing accessibility soon. And I'm really looking at this one, Nick, as more of an accessibility feature, the swing steering assist. So I am wondering if that will also be included in their accessibility dump, which, like he said, will be soon. We should have more information on exactly what this does very soon, guys.
Yeah, that will be very exciting and interesting to see what they're doing in Marvel Spider-Man 2, because that is something that Sony has championed over the last few years, is accessibility and customization in their gameplay. So very interested to see there. And another thing I want to talk about, Andreas, is another gameplay feature that was confirmed this week. We haven't had the time to sit down and talk about it, but it feels like this is a good video to talk about it since we're talking about all things damage, fall damage. I want to talk about combat damage, and more explicitly, I want to talk about suit damage, which was confirmed to be a feature in this game. Now, of course, we don't have any official quotes yet from any of the devs or official articles, but we have heard from the people who played this game, the outlets who played this game, in their firsthand impressions and reviews, that suit damage would be returning to this game. It was featured in Miles Morales, of course, but not featured in the first Marvel Spider-Man. It will be returning, and we do know that it will at least be on Peter's advanced suit and Miles' upgraded suit. And if you guys actually go back to the gameplay we got last week, there are a handful of segments, especially with Miles using his upgraded suit, where if you pause the gameplay or just watch through it, when he takes damage or takes enough damage, you will start to notice battle damage. You'll notice it on his shoulders, on his back, stuff like that. So there is now confirmation from the gameplay itself that suit damage will be returning to Marvel Spider-Man 2. And Andreas, I have a lot of questions about this. One, like I said, we know it will be on the advanced suit and on the upgraded suit. I wonder how many of the rest of the suits this will be featured on. Will it be on all of the suits, or will there be a handful of suits that it's made for and just it doesn't make its way onto other suits? I think that is a very interesting thing to find out. And another thing is we now know the symbiote suit is obviously going to play a major role in this game. I wonder if there will be any sort of battle damage on the symbiote suit. I would have to imagine no, because, it's the Venom symbiote. It's an organic thing that regenerates. Or will there be some sort of animation where perhaps the suit can get cut and then it regenerates itself? You see it organically fix itself. I think that would be really cool if they found a way to make that. Obviously, that is just me speculating and we haven't seen anything like that. But I think the return of battle damage to the suits opens up a ton of possibilities, and I just really love that. I think back to the Raimi Trilogy, he gets his ass kicked multiple times and his suit gets all ripped up, and I think it really humanizes Spider-Man to see this, because one thing that I'm really inspired by when it comes to the character is no matter how many times he gets his ass kicked, or he's taken all this damage and he's cut up and he's ripped up and you actually get to physically see it, he always gets back up. And that is one thing that I've always found inspiring about this character. And I think stuff like this helps showcase that. So I'm just interested to see how this works in this game with what suits, with the symbiote suit. Another thing I'm wondering, Andreas, I know this is a lot of questions that I'm wondering about, is we know that you can toggle the symbiote powers onto other suits. So when you do that, will those suits still have battle damage, or will, because the symbiote, regenerates, that organic regeneration, will there be no suit damage now all of a sudden on those suits when you have that toggled? Or will there be, like I said, an animation where you see it regenerate? So just interesting stuff about the suit damage. And we also, Andreas, to kick this back to you, we find out how it's going to work and when it's going to work.
That's right, Nick. One thing that is particularly on my mind, just given the context of this video talking about toggles, whether or not you can turn things on or off, I'm wondering if you can also toggle on and off the battle damage in this game. That's something that I think some people are going to want, because I'm already seeing, of course, there's so much controversy around these things, but there's also been controversy over the battle damage itself. Some people want their nice, pristine Spider-Man suits, and B, some people are also seeming to dislike the fact that these suits presumably auto heal after you are done with whatever mission or crime you're working on, and some people do not like that. So I'm wondering if there will be some sort of toggles as more of a customization feature for people, along the same line that we heard from the senior programming director in the IGN article. But these are all great questions here that I'd love to hear from all of you guys in the comments down below, so be sure to let us know in the comments down below all of your thoughts on everything that we touched on this video. Do you think that fall damage is a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Are you going to toggle it on or off? Let us know what you think about swing steering assist. What do you think that means? And when do you think we're going to get official confirmation of that? And finally, I'd love to hear what all of you have to say about battle damage in this game. Is it a good thing? Are you liking the auto healing? And how many suits do you think it is going to be applicable to? So much to talk about in the comments down below, so make sure to have at it down there. However, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, we will see you all next time.